should move on. He's already a member of the APC. So we're not surprised that he went back home.
Yeah, but to be fair, yes, people who move from one party to the other take their supporters and their structure.
No, Isaac doesn't have such structure. That's why I said to you that Obidient movement...
You'd rather hope he doesn't have...
No, he doesn't. Obidient movement is not a political party. We are a group of like-minded Nigerians.
I understand what you mean.
And many of them are even in the APC.
Right.
Maybe he has become one of the Obidient members in the APC that is going to work for us because Isaac knows that this is not the kind of country he wants. That his children
I've got to bring Sumner Sambo in. Sumner, strip away the emotion for us. Is Isaac Balami's defection politically significant or simply another routine crossover in Nigerian politics?
Thank you, Charles. The major problem here is the organizational issues we have in politics. And I can tell you it's a very huge challenge. Even the APC as it stands is still suffering that, despite being in government for several years, at the grassroots, there's still that problem where you have people still identifying themselves as the ACN wing, and then you have others identifying themselves as the CPC wing, and others, other groups that formed the APC. Now, you come to the Obidient movement, that's the sort of problem that we're having. And I think that maybe Peter Obi himself wasn't properly prepared for the sort of movement that came to actually support him. Because these are very enthusiastic young Nigerians, people who have a vision of the sort of country that they ought to have. And I had previously mentioned it here on your program, Charles, that this movement is greater than Peter Obi himself. And so if I were Peter Obi, I would look for a way to structure it above my own ambition. Because if Peter Obi doesn't make it in 2027, this group of young Nigerians will still continue. And I had likened this same group to the Zikist movement of the 1940s to the 1950s. They were enthusiastic. They just wanted Nigeria to have independence at all costs, despite the fact that the status quo did not want that. The Northern People's Congress wouldn't want, they would prefer delayed independence. And then you see the NCNC were like, okay, they wanted a middle way. But then this Zikist movement were a group that identified Nnamdi Azikiwe as someone who could help drive their ambition within the mainstream Nigerian politics ahead of calling out the need for independence. But Azikiwe himself became a victim of this group because he went overboard, sometimes abusing people, doing all sorts of things. It's the same
personal
issue.
Ambition got in the way.
Personal ambition. But the thing is that there's so much fire in this group of young Nigerians, and they need proper political organization. And I'm sorry to say Peter Obi is not someone who can give them that leadership, because what they are seeking is actually greater than Obi himself. And it is that bitterness that someone like Balami did not get the sort of movement that he was thinking of birthing in the Obidient movement. That's why he had to leave, because from what he said, you will see the pain that from the funding of the Obidient movement to the campaign strategies that they put in place during the campaigns for Peter Obi, there were some loopholes that were not filled. And after the elections, Obi did not call for a post-election analysis meeting to unite this group and keep them at hand. If Mazi will be very fair to us here, he will actually tell us that whatever he's doing is personally out of his own desire, not because this Obi has put in place a structure to ensure that this Obidient movement outlives him. Because the ideology that they are pursuing is the ideology of nationhood that serves everyone, but under a structure of someone for now that they think can deliver it.
Now, that's a very important point that he made. You can't deny that. But in addition... No, you're going to respond to that. But in addition to that, Isaac Balami said that many of those who built the Obidient movement were abandoned, unappreciated, and sidelined. Is he telling the truth? Add that to your response to what Samna said.
He's not being fair, both to himself and to the Obidient cause. Why do I say that? We didn't form a government. We haven't formed a government. So people, Okada men, rode on the back of the Obidient movement and went into the Green Chamber. They went in there and couldn't uphold the philosophy of the Obidient movement, which was for us to have an egalitarian nation where the child of a nobody can become somebody without knowing anybody. One of the testing moments for those who went into the Green Chamber through the Obidient movement was that time that vehicles were going to be given to them. One expected that they would have said, no, okay, yes, we need vehicles, all right, but can we have made in Nigeria? because that's what we stand for. We want made in Nigeria vehicles that will move us around our nation. They failed in that. If we, the likes of me, for instance, were to be in the Green Chamber, I wouldn't have accepted that very offer. So many people, just like even what I said earlier about the Obidient movement, you have so many of them in different political parties. It's not a political party, it's a movement. And right now, we have even metamorphosed to the OK movement. So we have gone beyond the Obidient movement. They are still discussing the Obidient movement. We are now discussing the alliance between the Obidient movement and the Conquesia movement.
That's
so
an
we
interesting point.
We are building an institutional angle to it now. And by the grace of God, by the time Peter Obi becomes president in 2027, and he serves out the 4 years, 2031, there will be a continuity agenda. One of which some of us who wanted to go to the Green Chamber, if I was given the opportunity, right, and I got to the Green Chamber, would have been talking about repealing the Constitution of Nigeria and replacing it with the People's Constitution, using the 2014 National Confab document to give the Nigerian people a People's Constitution. And one of the changes that would have been established if Peter Obi were to be given chance in 2027 is this one-term presidency thing. I am very certain that the document of our country, the Constitution, would have then now been amended or repealed and replaced, where it will capture that a president has only one term for maybe 5 years or 6 years, as already discussed in the 2014 confab document.
Mazi Dixon, you're moving into other areas.
Yeah, that's for you to understand
the
what institutional angle
Sumner
a presidency brings to the
what
table.
I'm trying to get you to. You're projecting into if he became president.
That's our interest now, not to be discussing Isaac Balami, who has become.
No, but
we wish him
that's
well,
the
we wish him all
topic
the best, but that's not our problem.
Yeah.
He's not running for president. If he was running for president, then I'll be engaging him. He hasn't convinced me that his people in Borno are better now than they were in 2023.
Let me bring Sumner Sambo in. I wonder what your reaction is, Sumner, to the point that he's making, that there's been a metamorphosis of the Obidient movement, and they are now the OK movement, which is the Obidient Kwankwasa movement. How does that take the movement forward, and does that lift the organization, or does that also put it in murkier waters, because now you've got to deal with all kinds of different people and different sort of persuasions?
Now they've moved from the Obidient movement to the OK movement, but the problems have also been transplanted from the Obidient movement into the OK movement, and they have two heads of the OK movement at the moment, where, we've seen conflicting reports, the Jackie Wires angle and others, and we've seen a problem, which is the lack of organization. That's why I say institutionalizing a movement takes more than rhetoric. Look at the EFF, for example, in South Africa.
Yeah,
the economic freedom
fighters.
And you will see how over the years they've had a strategy that wins election for them, and most importantly, have a post-election strategy, which is a major problem that they have now. And I will have to take you back. After the 2023 election, did Peter Obi ever sit down with all the elected representatives of the Labour Party from the Obidient wing? And
yes, he did.
No, hold on. I'm not saying that he did it. And conscientize them on what the expectations of Nigerians will be for them in government. Because Obi may not have been in government, but those who were brought into government through his vision needed to continue to stick to that strategy till the end. But because they didn't do that,
and all of them have left. Most of them have
left. They had to leave. Why are those who are elected in South Africa, for example, EFF, why have they refused to leave that party? Instead, they stayed behind, build and said, look, we may just have maybe 10 people elected in this election. Our strategy is in the next election, we may not win the national election, but we'll have 30
so
or 40
they're ideologically glued
together. And even when the governing party distributes lots of things to them, they stay away. They stay to the root cause. And that's because they have someone who actually goes forward, stays with them, doesn't leave the ideology, builds that institution and converts it into a political party. What stops Peter Obi from converting the Obidient into a political party 3 years on after the 2023 election?
We are here now. We are on the ballot. We have a political platform that we are vying for.
A political platform owned by someone else.
We have crossed that. If you brought this conversation immediately after the 2023 election, then we can answer you. We've gone beyond that. Let's not forget what banana peels that were put everywhere that Peter Obi went to by this government that my brother Isaac said has done well and they are going to embrace them. The point is that first, let it be established that Obidient movement is not a political party. That's one. And that
but it could have been
it
converted into
it is not. It is not. It is
not.
There
was no plan at the end of the 2023 election.
I'm an Igbo man. Igbo say ana zotana tupu izowute. You will get the ground first before you begin to look for mat where you want to lay on the ground. So for us first, it is let us repeal the constitution of Nigeria. Let us show example of leadership, institutional leadership, not a president that will do everything possible to whittle down the effect or powers of the opposition and all of that. Everything we did towards processing the possibility of having a political party, registered through Peter Obi was frustrated, and I'm stating
it. It's not on record.
I'm stating it for the first time. I'm stating internally. We know. I'm an Obidient member. Please, I'm giving you information.
It's not on record. Except you.
This is a record. This is a record.
Keep this reasonably brief because we've literally got 2 minutes, and I want to give him a chance.
The point, Charles, is I think what my brother wanted Obi to do after the election in 2023 is probably he's attempting to make Obi overreach himself. He wasn't commander-in-chief. These people have gotten elected and sworn in by the Constitution of Nigeria. As far as they are concerned at that time, they are the custodians of authority. Peter Obi was a candidate who didn't make it. So you expect that he will come and lord himself over them? No. He has remained. What is important is that he, as an individual, has remained consistent about what he believes in. That's what's important. So if you say that you are an Obidient and you don't look at the body language of the man by whom that word obedient, because it's not the English word obedient that we're talking about, it's Obidient. Yeah. That is all. So it's coined after the man, Peter Obi. If his lifestyle is not being copied by some people who claim to be obedient, you don't blame him for that. What is important is give him a chance and see whether in the presidency level, where he will be in charge of institutions that would govern the state, whether he would use his influence positively to affect the people or not.
I've literally got 1 minute. A final word from you, Sumner.
Political organization, Charles. You see, I'm happy with the marriage that they have with the Kwankwansia movement, because the Kwankwansia movement is more disciplined politically than the Obidient movement. And I hope Peter Obi and those in the Obidient movement are willing and able to learn from the political organization of the Kwankwansia movement, because even when they don't win elections that they need to win, you will see the trajectory that the leader remains. He gives political information, carries people along. In the areas where they win election, they ensure that the person who wins the election remains true to the philosophy of the Kwankwansia movement. And it helps. So this is what we are hoping, that if they do win one state or two states...
Well, to be fair, people in the Kwankwansia movement have also moved.
Even the sitting governor.
So much. The larger part of the Kwankwansia movement still remains. And that's what I was saying, like, in South Africa, EFF and Julius Malema find out they didn't win any major elections, but they are still in government, in parliament, and they are maintaining the people who were elected in parliament, continue with their ideology, and because of that, in subsequent elections, they win more seats.
As a member of the Obidient group, and now a member of the OK. I want to thank you.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much. Sumner Sambo is Arise politics editor and director of news and...
Oh, this is one that shall never handle. I don't understand. I mean, some people don't understand. So some people say Obidient movement in a party, as in a party. Not a party, na movement. You understand me? Na movement. All this argument. Make you see what this guy they talk, Sambo. Yeah? You as they argue what you don't understand. Yeah? They use Obidient movement to compare Kopaso movement. You understand? As it not be political party, you don't need to compare their two together. You understand? This one are just body. You understand? Not be political movement. Well, I don't mind talk too much. So all these arguments, I want me now. I'm going to give an opinion on the conversation. I give to one Africa boy.